And a woman came to Nisargadatta, who had given up all of his worldly possessions, who was a school teacher from England, who had cancer, and she was pleading with him to listen to her case. And she got very impatient with him and said to him, I have so many problems. And he said, you do not have any problems. And she said, how can you say that? He said, because your body has problems, but you don't have any problems. And she said, but I suffer. And as you heard me say earlier, he said, you do not suffer. Only the person you imagine yourself to be suffers. And then he gave what I consider the most powerful affirmation I've ever heard, which is I use every day. I have it written in my car and on the mirror where I shave in the morning. She said to him, you mean to tell me that you don't have any problems and you don't suffer? And he said to her, ma'am, he said, in my world, nothing ever goes wrong. Now there's an affirmation. In my world, nothing ever goes wrong. I don't live in the world of the body and the ego. I live in the world of the spirit. And I am the witness to all of the rest of this. And I'm not attached to the outcome. I had a patient coming to me when I was a therapist years ago in New York, out on the island, when I was teaching at the university. And her name is Noreen. And Noreen was a chronic depressive, and she came to me depressed and was told that this was a guy who wasn't going to sit around and be your friend, and you weren't going to purchase a friend. We're going to see about changing things, or we're not going to be in therapy together. And she said, I asked her, I said, how long have you been depressed? And she said, I've been depressed for years and years. I said, is there any ever time when you are not depressed? She said, I am always depressed. So I was looking for an entry point. I said, is there any organ in your body, perhaps? Any part of your body that isn't depressed? She said, every organ in my body is depressed. I said, well, let's look at your dreams. When you sleep at night, she said, I go to bed depressed, I take Prozac, I wake up depressed, I eat depressed. There is no part of me that is not depressed. She was really into her depression. And she was. I mean, she looked it and acted it, and she wasn't kidding, and it was serious. I don't make light of it. And I said to her, Noreen, I asked her the key question. I said, tell me, I said, have you been noticing your depression more lately? And she said, yes, I have. That's why I've come to you, because the other therapy hasn't worked, and I really thought maybe you could offer me some hope. So I said, so you have been noticing it more lately? She said, yes. I said, well, then tell me, is the noticer depressed? And she was stumped. And that's where we began. With the noticer, who cannot be depressed. The noticer just is the compassionate witness. That's where you have to go in your life. You want to rid yourself of pain? You want to rid yourself of struggle, of suffering? You begin to observe it and not attach yourself to it. You watch your body do what it has to do. And you can see it. As you become the compassionate witness and you understand quantum mechanics, you begin to see that where you place your attention, the observer, that which you observe, and keep on observing, that's what you begin to manifest. And the physical world becomes a reflection of how you witness. The observer himself or herself literally affects the outcome. And you can truly learn to manifest and control your coincidences, like us meeting, like my former department head showing up, like all of you who've had these kinds of things happen to you in your life. You can begin through the process of witnessing to see it begin to manifest. If you abandon the doubt, if you erase the past, if you get rid of all the labels, you have got to let go of your Italianness, your Jewishness, your maleness, your conservativeness, your Arizonanness, your blackness, your whiteness, your oldness, your youngness. You are none of those things. You are a spiritual being, divine and eternal. And all the emphasis that you place on this physical world and the physical things that divide us will keep you back in the ego. There are no white people. There are no black people. There are no women. There are no men. As Gandhi said, in heaven there is no religion. There's nothing to divide any of us. When you see yourself as the witness, you eliminate all of those things. And once you've been able to cultivate the witness, you can begin to observe your body, you can observe your thoughts, you can see that you're not your thoughts, you are that person who is thinking them. And you can literally place your attention on which ones you want and which ones you don't want.
There is a stillness in you that cannot be disturbed, a place untouched by fear, unshaken by chaos, and immune to the noise of the world. It has no name, yet it knows everything. It has no shape, yet it holds the shape of your peace. It is not your mind, for your mind is loud. It is not your emotions, for your emotions are waves. It is not your body, for the body withers and bends to time. It is the part of you that watches quietly, lovingly, unmoved. And in that watching, there is power. We spend most of our lives reacting to what was said, to what wasn't said, to the look someone gave, to the news flashing across our screens, to the stories we carry like old, worn clothes, too heavy to wear, but too familiar to take off. We live at the mercy of our interpretations, our wounds, our replays of the past, and projections of the future. We live, but we do not watch. We act, but we do not see. To watch is not to detach from life, it is to arrive fully in it. It is to stop being dragged by the stream of every emotion and every judgment. It is to sit at the edge of the river and say, there it is again, the fear, the anger, the memory, the story, and then let it flow. The ego is a brilliant but frantic storyteller. It cannot live in the present moment because the present moment exposes its illusions. It thrives on reaction because it feeds on control. The ego needs your agreement. It needs your reactivity to survive. But your soul does not need to prove itself. It simply is. It observes without trying to fix. It accepts without needing to justify. It loves without asking to be loved back. Being the watcher is not an escape, it is the return. When you become the watcher, you are no longer the puppet of your past. You are no longer the hostage of your triggers. You begin to see that the anger is not you, it is an energy that passes through. The grief is not you, it is a wave that visits, not a house you must live in. The fear is not you, it is a voice, not your truth. There is a sacred gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap is where you reclaim your life. That gap is where the watcher lives. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness beneath them. You are not your thoughts. You are the spaciousness that notices them arise and fall. You are not the chaos. You are the calm watching the chaos. And when you remember this, you become free. Freedom doesn't come when the world is silent. It comes when you can hear the noise and choose not to be it. It comes when you can feel the heat of anger and not throw it. When you can taste the sting of offense and not become offended. When you can sit in the storm of opinion and not get swept away by any of it. There is no greater strength than presence. To be present is to live beyond reaction. It is to let go of the idea that everything demands your emotional involvement. It is to allow people to be who they are without needing to correct them. It is to hear a criticism and not make it your identity. It is to receive praise and not build your worth upon it. Presence is not passive. It is alert, grounded, alive. The watcher is not distant. The watcher is compassionate. It sees clearly because it does not cling. It understands deeply because it listens without defense. It acts with power because it does not act from fear. You see, when you become the watcher, life softens. Not because life changes, but because you do. The same situations arise, but they no longer own you. The same people trigger the same old patterns, but now you recognize them as patterns, not as truth. You stop bleeding into every moment. You stop needing everything to validate your sense of self. You return to your inner sanctuary, the place where your soul sits with open hands and a quiet smile, knowing that all things are passing clouds. You cannot stop the world from shouting, but you can stop yourself from echoing it. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." And how often we let our own reactivity become the very suffering we try to avoid. We mistake reaction for power, but reaction is bondage. Reaction is the ego's way of staying alive. True power is in the pause. True power is in the breath that says, "I see you, emotion, but I do not belong to you." The watcher doesn't suppress, it doesn't deny, it simply sees, and in seeing, it liberates. Watch yourself when you're offended. Who is it that feels so injured? Is it your soul, or is it an identity you've built, now threatened by someone else's opinion? Watch your defensiveness. Who is it defending? The truth needs no defense. The ego, however, is always on guard. Watch your craving for validation. Who is it that wants to be seen? The infinite spirit within you is already seen. It is seen by the entire universe. There is nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to fix to be enough. Nothing you need to hold on to be safe. The watcher knows this. The reactor forgets. Let your breath be your teacher. When it quickens, when it shortens, when it tightens, that is the moment to return. That is the moment to step out of the role and back into the witness. Each inhale is a choice. Each exhale is a letting go. The more you breathe consciously, the more you become aware. And awareness is the birthplace of all transformation. When you are the watcher, you stop needing life to behave the way you want it to. You stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that people be different to make you happy. You stop controlling what was never yours to control. And in this surrender, you find peace not as an achievement, but as your original nature. Peace is not something you chase. Peace is what remains when you stop reacting. So many of us live on the edge of offense. We're ready to be hurt, ready to be insulted, ready to be outraged. We've trained ourselves to scan for threat, not physical threat, but psychological threat. Someone disagrees with us and we feel erased. Someone rejects us and we feel unworthy. But what if none of it was personal? What if every offense is an invitation to awaken? You are not what others say to you. You are what you choose to hear. Let people misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them walk away if they must. The watcher does not flinch. The watcher knows that the truth doesn't need to chase anything. The truth just is. And if someone cannot see you, that does not make you invisible. If someone rejects you, that does not make you invalid. You are not here to be understood. You are here to understand. The moment you stop needing to react, you begin to live. You begin to notice the small joys, the way the sunlight touches the leaves, the pause between two heartbeats, the sacred silence after a deep breath. These are the spaces where the divine speaks, but you must be still enough to hear. And stillness does not mean inactivity. Stillness is presence. It is clarity. It is the quiet power of a soul unbothered by the noise. You have nothing to defend, no argument to win, no ego to preserve. You have only the opportunity in every moment to return to the watcher within. So next time you feel the rise of reaction, pause, breathe, watch. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky does not tremble when clouds pass through it. It does not cling to the rain or resist the lightning. It allows, it witnesses, it remains. And so must you. Your true self, the eternal witness, has never been broken, never been threatened, never been less than whole. It is only the ego that flinches, that crumbles, that begs for validation in the eyes of others. The soul simply watches and waits, knowing the truth is never in the noise. Every time you choose to observe rather than react, you are retraining your consciousness. You are shifting the gravity of your identity from the external to the internal, from fear to love, from protection to presence. You become like the ocean, watching its own waves rise and fall, but never mistaking the waves for its essence. The turbulence no longer defines you. The stillness beneath becomes your home. There is a moment, brief but sacred, when awareness interrupts a habit. That moment is a portal to liberation. A chance to say, I see it, I've been here before, but this time I choose differently. And in that subtle shift, your entire life begins to change. Not because the world softens, but because you no longer harden in its presence. You stop armoring up every time someone looks at you the wrong way. You stop bracing for judgment. You begin to live unclenched, wide open, deeply rooted, and profoundly present. And isn't that what true power is? To be unshakable, not because you dominate, but because you no longer need to defend. To be calm in the midst of fire. To be kind without condition. To be aware of the storm and yet centered in your stillness. This is the life of the awakened. Not free of conflict, but free of entanglement. Not void of feeling, but void of control by those feelings. When you stop reacting, you begin seeing. You see the other person not as an enemy, but as a mirror. You see your anger not as a truth, but as a message. You see your triggers as teachers. You see life not as a series of attacks, but as a series of invitations to evolve. You begin to understand that everything that once made you flinch is here to make you free. The reactive self is a prisoner of the past. It is stitched together by old wounds, unconscious stories, and inherited beliefs. It's constantly trying to protect something, a fragile image, a constructed identity, a false sense of self. But the watcher knows there is nothing to protect because the soul is not a character. The soul cannot be injured by opinion, it cannot be destroyed by loss, it cannot be undone by time. You are not your conditioning, you are not your defense mechanisms, you are not the fight or flight impulse that flares up when things don't go your way. You are the one who sees it all. And in seeing it all, you are no longer owned by any of it. Have you ever felt the weight of a reaction coming, the anger bubbling, the heart racing, the story forming, and then you paused, you breathed, you watched, and just like that, the charge softened. That is presence. That is awakening. That is what it means to remember yourself in the heat of forgetting. It's not about never feeling triggered. It's about no longer being tricked into believing those triggers define you. It's not about being a stone cold and unfeeling. It's about being a mountain still and grounded, even as the winds howl around you. You see, the more you watch without reacting, the more you begin to trust life again. You realize that not every comment needs a comeback. Not every situation demands your opinion. Not every disagreement is a battlefield. You stop entering every interaction with armor. You stop needing the last word. You begin to understand that silence can be the loudest answer. That stillness can be the most powerful presence. And in that space, that holy space between what happened and how you choose to respond, a miracle occurs. The miracle of self-possession, of divine clarity, of peace that cannot be disturbed by anything outside of you. You no longer live from habit, you live from intention. You begin to meet life with eyes open, heart soft, and soul steady. The reactive mind is always chasing approval, chasing control, chasing an identity it can hold on to. But the watcher knows there is nothing to chase when you already are. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be fully awake in yourself. To be so deeply rooted in your presence that even if the world misreads you, misunderstands you, misjudges you, you stay true. Truth needs no audience. Presence needs no applause. The divine in you needs no permission. And so I invite you, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment, to pause. Let the breath remind you of the eternal now. Let the silence return you to the sacred watcher. Let the witness within you rise. And from that space, observe. Observe your thoughts without clinging. Observe your emotions without dramatizing. Observe your life without rushing to fix, correct, or judge. This is not the end of your spiritual path. This is the beginning. Because when you become the watcher, everything changes. Not by force, but by frequency. You stop vibrating at the level of the problem and begin rising into the solution. You stop looking for healing in others and start embodying it within yourself. You stop playing the role of the victim or the hero and simply become real. And in your realness, your grounded, divine, conscious presence, you begin to heal not just yourself, but everyone you touch. Not through preaching, not through trying, but simply through being. Being the space, being the peace, being the clarity in a world addicted to confusion. You are not here to be tossed around by life. You are here to be the still point, the silent flame, the breath between the chaos. And you'll know when you found this place, not because life gets easier, but because you stop collapsing in front of it. Your center becomes unshakable. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your love becomes unconditional. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. When you no longer live at the mercy of your reactions, you step into the rarest kind of power, the power of inner authority. Not dominance, not superiority, but sovereignty of the soul. You're no longer pulled by every emotional wind, no longer yanked into battles that aren't yours. You become a space of presence that others can feel but cannot disturb. You begin to hear the world not just through your ears, but through your spirit. Someone may yell and you hear their pain. Someone may judge and you hear their fear. Someone may try to provoke and you sense their longing for love. The watcher sees this, not to become better than anyone, but to remember none of it is about you. And what a relief that is. What a deep, cleansing sigh for the soul to know you are not responsible for the storms in other people's skies. You are only responsible for whether you bring your umbrella or your sunshine, whether you enter their storm or remain the calm that invites them into clarity. To live as the watcher is not to become indifferent, it's to become deeply compassionate without losing yourself. Compassion doesn't require you to abandon your peace. In fact, real compassion flows from peace. When you react, you join others in their suffering. But when you watch, you become the mirror that reflects something higher. You say without words, you don't have to live like that. There's another way. And when you live this way, something extraordinary happens. You begin to radiate peace. Not the kind that looks peaceful on the outside, but simmers with resentment underneath. Not the kind that avoids conflict by shrinking. No, this is the peace that walks into any room and changes its atmosphere. The peace that speaks without words. The peace that silences chaos just by being. Because when you are no longer at war with yourself, the world cannot drag you into battle. You stop arguing with reality. You stop trying to edit the universe to match your preferences. You stop needing the moment to be anything other than what it is. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become present. You take action, not from desperation, but from alignment. You speak, not to defend, but to express love. You listen, not to prepare your reply, but to understand with your whole being. This is how the soul moves. Gently, powerfully, without rush, and oh, how the world needs more of this. More beings who don't crumble at conflict, who don't lose themselves trying to win approval, who aren't addicted to proving they're right. The world is loud with reactions. Be the one who is quiet with understanding. Be the one who slows down when others speed up. Be the one who chooses grace when the ego demands retaliation. There is a river inside you that has never stopped flowing. Even when you were tangled in your thoughts, even when you believed the voice of fear, even when you reacted with anger, shame, or pride, that river was always there, steady, ancient, divine. It is your true nature. The watcher lives there. The soul drinks from it. And your freedom begins the moment you return to its banks. So when you feel yourself being pulled into the story, the fight, the trigger, the need to explain, the craving to be seen, pause. Let the breath return you. Let your awareness remind you. Let the watcher reclaim the moment, because life isn't about avoiding the waves, it's about learning to surf them with awareness. It's about realizing that no matter what chaos dances across the surface, the depths of who you are remain unmoved. That is your home. That is your truth. That is the part of you that has never been hurt, never been lost, never been less than divine. And when you live from that place, when your identity is rooted not in ego but in soul, then your presence becomes medicine. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to save the world. You don't even have to change anyone's mind. Just be what you are when you're not reacting. Light, calm, truth, stillness. That is enough. More than enough. That is the invitation you offer the world. Come sit with me in this silence and remember who you are. And if they do, beautiful. And if they don't, you continue walking, not in pride, not in bitterness, but in peace. Because the watcher walks with grace. And grace, my friend, is the only power that doesn't need to shout. The watcher walks with grace, not because it is immune to pain, but because it no longer mistakes pain for identity. It has learned the sacred art of presence, not as a performance, but as a remembrance. To watch is to love without possession, to listen without preparing to speak, to live without the weight of needing everything to be different in order to be okay. And when you live like this, when you truly become the watcher, the need to be understood falls away. You no longer plead with the world to see you, to validate you, to applaud your efforts. You know that to be seen by the divine within you is more than enough. You feel the presence of the infinite, not as something to chase, but as something that never left. Something that was always whispering beneath your reaction. You are not this storm. You are the sky. It passes through. And in this realization, you soften. You stop bracing for impact. You stop rehearsing pain. You stop living from the haunted echoes of what if and what was. You rest not in exhaustion, but in awakening. You stop trying to control what's never been yours, and instead surrender to the stillness that has always been home. You forgive yourself for every time you believe the lie that you were only as worthy as your performance, only as loved as your usefulness, only as safe as your defenses. You forgive yourself for the times you reacted, for the times you fell into fear, for the times you said what your soul never meant, not because it was right, but because you are ready to be free. Forgiveness, too, is an act of watching, of saying, yes, I see the wound, but I also see who I truly am beyond it. And then something quiet but life-altering begins to happen. You stop waiting for permission to be at peace. You stop postponing joy until circumstances align. You stop bargaining with life. If this happens, then I'll feel whole. No. Wholeness is now, peace is now, God is now. Everything you've been chasing while reacting was always sitting silently in the sanctuary of your awareness. The watcher knows that time is not the answer, presence is. You don't need another year to become what your soul already is. You don't need more proof, more agreement, more applause. You need only this breath, this stillness, this radical return to the center that has never abandoned you. And this is not a theory, this is an embodiment. When you embody the watcher, your life becomes less about performance and more about presence. You start speaking less and saying more. You start needing less and feeling fuller. You begin walking through the world with a softness that doesn't ask, do you accept me? But instead radiates, I accept myself. And because you accept yourself, others feel safe to do the same in your presence. Your being becomes a sanctuary, your silence becomes sacred. You no longer react to prove your worth, you respond from the overflow of your awareness. That's how the divine speaks. Not to convince, but to awaken. Not to correct, but to reflect. You begin to realize that every trigger was a teacher, and every interruption was an initiation. that the very moments which once made you spiral were not obstacles, they were sacred doorways. Doorways leading you deeper into the witness, deeper into grace, deeper into the stillness that does not flinch, does not fight, and does not fear. And now, you are ready. Not ready to achieve something, not ready to prove anything, but ready to finally live, not from the ego's urgency, but from the soul's timelessness. Ready to meet the day, not as a battle, but as a blessing. Ready to hold space instead of hold grudges. Ready to watch your thoughts pass like clouds and realize you are the sky. You always were. The world may still swirl, people may still project, but you now walk as the calm inside the center of it all. And when old reactions try to rise, because they will, you'll meet them with compassion, not condemnation. You'll greet them like old friends with fading power, saying gently, I see you, but I no longer serve you. And in that moment, you will smile, not because life is perfect, but because you have remembered who you are. You are not the fear. You are not the noise. You are not the ego's constant commentary. You are the one who watches all of it and chooses love anyway. So breathe, beloved soul. Breathe and return to this sacred moment, to this steady presence, to this watcher that does not need to win but only needs to witness. Let others shout. Let the world race. Let the noise unfold. You just keep watching. Just keep loving, because when you are the watcher, not the reactor, you do not just change your life. You remember that you are life. And life, in its truest form, does not react. It flows, it trusts, it shines, and so do you. We are taught to believe that movement, noise, and constant activity are the essence of life. We live in a world that celebrates the loudest voice, the fastest pace, and the most visible presence. But deep within, the soul speaks a language that is not one of words, not one of action, but one of stillness. And in this stillness, we find the truest expression of who we are. We find our connection to the divine, to the very essence of life itself. Stillness is not silence. Stillness is the language of the soul, a language that transcends the limitations of the mind. It is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something far greater, the presence of peace, of clarity, of wisdom that rises from the depths of our being. It is in stillness that we are able to hear the subtle whispers of our spirit guiding us on the path of our highest truth. And yet, we live in a world that constantly demands our attention. The noise is everywhere. The distractions are relentless. We are pulled in 1,000 different directions, each one shouting for our focus, for our energy, for our time. The mind races, the emotions swirl, and we find ourselves lost in the chaos of it all. But in the midst of this storm, there is a place of calm, a place where the soul speaks to us in a language that does not require words. Stillness is not something we do, it is something we become. It is the natural state of our being, the essence of who we are when we are free from the noise of the world, when we are free from the distractions of the ego. The ego thrives on movement. It thrives on activity, on the pursuit of external validation, on the constant need for approval and recognition, but the soul does not seek approval. The soul does not need validation. The soul is already whole, already complete, already at peace. When we stop seeking, when we stop striving, when we let go of the need to control, we find that we are carried into a place of stillness. It is in this place that we reconnect with our true selves, with the divine presence that resides within us. In this stillness, we discover that everything we have been searching for was already within us, waiting for us to stop long enough to notice it. Stillness is not a passive state. It is not the absence of action, but rather the presence of intention. In stillness, we are not inactive, but we are deeply aligned with the flow of life. We are in tune with the rhythms of the universe, moving in harmony with the energy of creation. Stillness allows us to respond to life from a place of clarity and wisdom, rather than from a place of reaction and fear. The ego tells us that we must be busy, that we must always be doing, achieving, and striving. But the soul knows that true power lies in surrender, in letting go of the need to control, and in allowing life to unfold naturally. In stillness, we are reminded that we do not have to fight to survive. We do not have to force things to happen. Life flows effortlessly when we allow it to. When we let go of the need to control, we find that the universe responds with grace, with ease, and with infinite abundance. In this stillness, we begin to heal. Healing does not come from external sources. Healing comes from within. It comes from the deep recognition that we are whole, that we are enough, just as we are. The mind tells us that we are broken, that we are flawed, that we need to be fixed. But the soul knows the truth that we are already whole, already complete, already perfect in our imperfection. It is only the ego that needs fixing, for it is the ego that is attached to the illusion of separation, to the belief that we are not enough. Stillness is the gateway to healing because it is in stillness that we reconnect with the truth of who we are. When we stop, when we silence the mind and the chatter of the ego, we come into direct contact with our true nature. And in this contact, we remember that we are divine beings, that we are made of the same energy that created the stars, the same energy that flows through every living thing. We are not separate from the divine. We are not separate from the universe. We are the universe expressing itself through us. When we embrace stillness, we also embrace the idea that we are not our thoughts. The mind, with its endless stream of thoughts, can create the illusion that we are the sum total of our thoughts, that we are defined by the stories we tell ourselves. But the truth is that we are the observer of the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. In stillness, we can witness the thoughts without identifying with them. We can let them pass like clouds in the sky, knowing that they do not define us. We are the sky, vast and infinite, not the fleeting clouds. The ego wants us to believe that we are our stories, that we are our past, that we are the sum total of our experiences. But the soul knows that we are not our past. We are not the wounds we carry. We are not the mistakes we have made. We are not the roles we have played. We are the space between the thoughts, the stillness that exists when we stop trying to be someone we are not. We are the presence of awareness, the pure essence of being. In this stillness, we find freedom. The ego binds us to the past, to the future, to the fear and the anxiety that arise from our attachment to outcomes. But the soul knows that freedom exists in the present moment. When we are still, when we are fully present, we are free from the shackles of time. We are free from the weight of regret and the fear of what may come. In stillness, we discover that the only moment that truly exists is the one we are living right now. Stillness is the antidote to the restlessness of the ego. It is the cure for the endless striving, the constant seeking, and the unrelenting pressure to do more, be more, have more. In stillness, we come to understand that we do not need to strive to be whole because we already are. We do not need to chase after happiness because it is already within us. We do not need to seek love because we are love. We do not need to search for peace because peace is who we are. Stillness is the gateway to the divine. It is in stillness that we come into direct contact with the source of all life, with the intelligence that created the universe, with the love that sustains all things. When we stop seeking outside of ourselves, when we stop looking for answers in the noise of the world, we find that the answers are already within us. The soul always knows. It knows the way. It knows the truth. It knows the path that will lead us back to ourselves. And so, I invite you to find stillness Not the kind of stillness that comes from escaping the world, but the kind of stillness that arises from within. The stillness that comes when we stop running, when we stop avoiding, when we stop resisting. The stillness that comes when we stop long enough to listen to the voice of our soul, the voice that speaks in silence, in peace, in love. In this stillness, you will find everything you need. You will find clarity. You will find peace. You will find wisdom. You will find the strength to heal. You will find the courage to let go. You will find the freedom to be who you truly are. And in this stillness, you will remember that you are not separate from the divine. You are the divine. You are the expression of love, of peace, of infinite possibility. Stillness is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the language of the soul, and it is the path to your freedom. When you embrace stillness, you embrace yourself. You embrace your divinity. You embrace the truth that you are already enough, already whole, already perfect, just as you are. And in that truth, you will find the peace, the joy, and the love that you have been seeking all along. In this silence, you are invited to let go of the struggle. The soul does not need to fight its way into peace, nor does it need to win approval from the outside world. Peace is not something to be conquered, but something that arises naturally when the mind releases its grip. The world will always beckon you to chase, to compete, to become more than you are. But in the depths of stillness, you realize that you are already everything you need to be. There is no race to win, no prize to gain, just the quiet truth of your own being unfolding effortlessly in the present moment. In this gentle quiet, the noise of your inner battles begins to fade. You are no longer caught in the endless loop of self-criticism or the constant search for improvement. The pull to measure your worth by your achievements starts to soften, and you begin to rest in the realization that you are not defined by what you do, but by who you are. Your value is inherent. It is woven into your very fabric. The stillness invites you to witness this truth, not with the mind, but with the heart, a heart that knows without question that you are enough. Here, in the tranquil presence of the soul, there is no need to be anyone other than who you are. No longer do you need to wear the masks of expectation or bend to the will of the world. You stand in your own light, free from the need for validation or approval. It is in this freedom that your true essence can shine. No longer do you have to prove your worth. The truth of your being speaks louder than any external accolade ever could. As you sit in the stillness, you may feel the pull of the past, trying to remind you of your mistakes, your regrets, and the moments you wish you could change. But the stillness is your sanctuary, where time itself fades into the background. In this space, you realize that your past is merely a collection of experiences, each one contributing to the wisdom you now carry. The stillness helps you see the past not as something to carry with you, but as something that has already been transformed, transmuted into wisdom, and released into the flow of your life. In this moment, as you breathe deeply and connect with your inner stillness, you understand that true freedom lies not in the pursuit of external success, but in the acceptance of your own unfolding. There is no need to chase anything. Everything you have ever sought, love, peace, joy, is already within you, simply waiting for you to acknowledge it. The stillness is the doorway through which these treasures are revealed, not as something to be gained, but as something to be remembered. Through stillness, the illusion of separation falls away. You begin to sense that you are not isolated in your journey, but an integral part of the vast web of existence. The boundaries between you and the world begin to dissolve, and you realize that the love, the peace, the wisdom you seek is not somewhere out there, but within you, interwoven with the very core of your being. In the stillness, you are reminded that you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through your consciousness. In this quiet presence, healing begins. Healing is not the result of fixing what is broken. It is the realization that there was never anything to fix in the first place. The stillness shows you that your wounds are not your identity, that the scars you carry do not define your worth. In this sacred silence, you remember that you are not broken. You are whole, as you have always been. You are the embodiment of divine perfection, untouched by the illusion of imperfection. And in this remembrance, healing happens effortlessly. It is in the stillness that forgiveness blooms. Forgiveness does not come from the mind or the ego, which are quick to judge and hold on to past pain. Forgiveness arises from the soul, from the heart that knows the truth of love and compassion. It does not excuse the actions that hurt you, but it releases you from the grip of the past. In the stillness, you realize that forgiveness is not a gift you give to others, it is a gift you give to yourself. You let go of the weight of resentment, of anger, and you allow yourself to move forward with a heart full of peace. As you sit in this moment of stillness, you are invited to release all the expectations you have placed on yourself and the world around you. You no longer need to chase after what you think you should be. You can simply be. The stillness asks you to surrender to the flow of life, to trust in the wisdom of your soul, and to let go of the need for control. Life is not something to be conquered. It is something to be experienced, to be embraced. And when you let go of the need to control, you will find that life unfolds with grace, with ease, and with perfect timing. In this stillness, you remember that you are not alone. You are held in the embrace of something much greater than yourself. You are part of the divine dance of the universe, flowing with the rhythm of the cosmos. Your heart beats in harmony with the heart of the world. In this stillness, you know that you are never separate, never disconnected. You are one with the infinite, one with the divine, and in that oneness you find your peace. The stillness is not a place to escape from the world, it is a place to reconnect with it. In the quiet, you begin to see the world through new eyes. You see the beauty in the simple moments, the sacredness in the ordinary. You recognize the divine in everyone and everything, and your heart overflows with compassion. In the stillness, you learn to be present, to truly be here now, without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. In this presence, you experience the depth of life's mystery, the profound beauty of every moment, and the eternal truth that all is well. And so, in this stillness, you find yourself. You discover the truth that you are not what the world tells you to be. You are not your thoughts, your past, or your struggles. You are a divine being, already whole, already perfect, already enough. In the stillness, you remember who you are, not as a label, not as an identity, but as the essence of being itself. You are the quiet presence of love, peace, and wisdom. You are the soul unshaken by the storms of life, ever present, ever still. Stillness is the language of the soul, and in this language you will find everything you have been searching for. It is not outside of you, but within. It is not something you need to achieve, but something you need to remember. In stillness, you will remember the truth of who you are, and in that remembrance, you will find your freedom. And so, let the stillness wash over you. Let it be the balm that heals your wounds. Let it be the space where you reconnect with your divine essence. Let it be the light that guides you through the darkness, the love that lifts you when you fall. And in the stillness, you will find your way home. Stillness is not a destination, but a state of being. It's a space where the soul is allowed to breathe without the interference of the constant chatter of the mind. The mind wants to define, to label, to measure, but in stillness, there is no need for any of these. There is only pure experience, the raw, unfiltered moment where you are exactly as you are, and the world around you exists without judgment or expectation. In stillness, there is a deep surrender. The ego, which once fought for control, is allowed to rest. The need to shape the world to your will falls away. And in this surrender, something miraculous happens. You reconnect with your inherent wisdom. You remember that the answers to life's questions do not lie in the hustle, the external noise, or the accumulation of things. They lie in the space between thoughts and the calm of the present moment, in the stillness of your soul. When you stop seeking, you find. When you stop grasping, you receive. In this place of stillness, you are not alone. You are connected to everything, to the universe, to the stars above and the earth beneath your feet. There is no separation. This is the great truth that the ego tries to obscure. You are part of the infinite, the eternal flow of life. Your soul is connected to all that is, and when you realize this, there is a profound peace that washes over you. It is the peace of knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. It is the peace of knowing that you are a thread in the tapestry of the universe, perfectly woven into the design of creation. In the quiet, you begin to understand that your life is not an isolated journey. You are part of a grand, interconnected dance of existence, a dance that stretches across time, across space, across dimensions. Every choice you make ripples out into the world, affecting the whole, and every action you take is a reflection of the divine energy that flows through all things. The stillness shows you this truth, allowing you to see beyond the limited perspective of the ego, to recognize the profound unity that exists between you and everything else. It is this stillness that gives you the strength to release the past. The past is only a story the mind tells itself, and as long as you hold on to it, you are trapped in a loop. But in the stillness, you can let go. You can release the weight of old wounds, the chains of old regrets. In this moment, you are free from the ghosts of the past, free from the need to hold on to pain or resentment. You can forgive, not because you condone the actions of others, but because you choose to free yourself from their hold over you. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to the present. And in the stillness, you find the strength to forgive, to let go, to move forward. And moving forward in stillness is not a movement of force or effort. It is a movement of flow. It is the art of surrendering to the rhythm of life, of trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. The ego tells you to push forward, to work harder, to strive more. But the soul knows that there is no need for this. Life moves in cycles, in waves, and when you allow yourself to flow with the current, you will always be exactly where you need to be. The stillness teaches you this. It teaches you that you do not have to fight your way through life. You simply have to be, to trust, and to surrender to the flow of the universe. In this space of stillness, there is also a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the simple moments, for the beauty that surrounds you, for the people who cross your path. The ego is quick to judge, quick to compare, quick to find fault. But the soul sees only beauty, sees only connection, sees only love. In stillness, you begin to see with new eyes, eyes that recognize the divinity in all things, the sacredness in the mundane. Every moment becomes a gift. Every interaction becomes an opportunity for love, and every breath becomes a prayer of thanks. It is in stillness that you discover your true power. Power is not the ability to control or dominate. True power is the ability to be at peace, to be centered no matter what is happening around you. The world may throw challenges your way, but in the stillness, you are unshaken. You are like a tree, standing firm in the storm, its roots deep in the earth, its branches reaching toward the sky. No matter how strong the winds blow, the tree remains rooted, steady, and grounded. This is the power that comes from stillness, the power to remain calm, centered, and unshaken, no matter what life presents. And from this power, you begin to see that the world itself is a reflection of your inner state. As within, so without. When you cultivate peace within, peace will radiate out into the world. When you embrace love within, love will be reflected in your relationships, your work, and your environment. The stillness within you creates ripples that extend outward, touching everything you encounter. And in this way, you become a source of peace, of healing, of love in the world. You become the change you wish to see. In this stillness, you remember the truth of who you are. You're not just a body, not just a mind, not just a fleeting identity. You are the eternal soul, a divine spark of consciousness, and this truth transcends all that the world tells you to be. The ego may try to define you by your appearance, your job, your achievements, but none of these things can define you. You are the observer, the witness, the presence that is aware of it all. You are not what you do, but the being that does. You are not what you have, but the essence that has everything. In stillness, you reconnect with this truth. You remember your divine nature, and in this remembrance, you find freedom. And this is the gift of stillness. It brings you home. It brings you back to yourself, back to your truth, back to your soul. In stillness, you find the courage to let go of all that no longer serves you, to shed the layers of fear, doubt, and judgment. In stillness, you find the wisdom to recognize that you are already whole, already perfect, already complete. There is nothing to fix, nothing to change, and nothing to achieve. You are already what you seek. So, I invite you to embrace the stillness, to stop long enough to listen to the voice of your soul, to hear the whispers of the universe, and to reconnect with the divine energy that flows through you. In the stillness, you will find your peace. You will find your power. You will find your truth. And in that truth, you will find everything you have ever been searching for. And now, as we reach the end of this journey, the stillness invites you to simply be. There's nothing more to do, nothing more to prove, and nowhere more to go. You have arrived not in the future, not in a distant destination, but right here, in this moment. The stillness has led you back to your true essence, to the quiet knowing that you are enough, that you are whole, that you are already everything you need to be. In this stillness, there is no rush. Life is not something to be hurried through. It is not a race to the finish line. The race ends in the realization that there is no finish line. The journey, in its purest form, is about returning to the self, returning to the stillness, where the soul can breathe, can be, can exist without the need to chase or seek. The stillness is the arrival point and the starting point, all at once. It is the destination that was never separate from the journey, the home you've always known, waiting for you to come back. The world outside will continue to move, continue to change, continue to pull at you in every direction. The distractions will never cease. But within you, within the sacred silence of your heart, there is a refuge. And in this refuge, you are invincible. Nothing can shake the peace that resides in the stillness. No matter what happens in the external world, the truth of your being, the truth of who you are, remains unchanged, untouched, and eternal. Stillness is not an escape from the world. It is the key to living fully in it. It is not about withdrawing or avoiding. It is about learning to live from a place of deep alignment with your soul. It is about moving through the world with clarity, with purpose, with an open heart, while remaining grounded in the truth that your peace does not depend on anything outside of you. In the stillness, you realize that everything you need, every ounce of love, every bit of wisdom, every thread of courage already resides within you. You are complete. You are the embodiment of divine wisdom. And from this place of deep knowing, you can live freely, joyfully, and authentically. You are not the fear that has held you back. You are not the doubts that have clouded your path. You are not the judgments that have defined you. You are the stillness beneath it all. You are the peace that transcends it all. The mind may try to create a story, may try to define your reality with labels and limits, but the soul knows no limits. The soul is free. And in this freedom, you find your power. When you sit in stillness, you find the courage to let go of the past. The past is a shadow, a whisper of a life that no longer exists. You are not the person you once were, nor are you the mistakes you once made. In stillness, you rise into the truth of who you are now, in this present moment, and in this moment alone is all that you need. The past is gone. The future is unknown. The only thing that exists is the present moment. And in the present, you are whole, you are free, and you are enough. The stillness has already begun to work its magic. You may not see it, but it is there in every corner of your being. It is in the quiet of your heart, the peace of your mind, and the calm of your spirit. You may not notice it at first, but as you move through your days, you will begin to feel its presence more deeply. In the stillness, you will begin to understand that you are not alone, that you are part of something much greater than yourself. The universe is speaking to you, whispering its truths in the silence. And as you listen, you will find that your life begins to unfold in the most beautiful, unexpected ways. And so, I leave you with this. Return to the stillness whenever you can. It is not a destination, it is the space between your thoughts. It is the quiet center of your being. It is the infinite peace that exists beneath the surface of your mind. In this space, you will find the truth of who you are. In this space, you will find your power. And in this space, you will find your freedom. The stillness is not something you have to search for. It is already within you, waiting for you to notice. It is always available, always present, always there. All you need to do is stop, breathe, and listen. When you do, you will discover that everything you need has been within you all along. You are the stillness, you are the peace, you are the love. You are the wisdom. And in this truth, you will find the courage to live your life with grace, with purpose, and with an open heart. So, let the stillness guide you. Let it be your compass. Let it be your home. And from this place of stillness, move forward with the knowing that you are already enough, already whole, and already free.